Hello and welcome. It is that of the final day, 31st day of July 2018. This is your crypto day morning. My name is Derek, and like always, all bets, all risks, and of the like is within your own risk, own reward. I want to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about Bitcoin and all the declining coins within this market. In fact, Bitcoin has been dominant for sure of late, as it's been risen up to almost 50%. It might even break above it. As it moves forward, it's been the yearly trend thus far, as the altcoins have heavily underperformed that of Bitcoin. Bitcoin down 3.68% and at 7,800 and change. And when we look at some of the others, Ethereum down 5.7, Ripple and Bitcoin Cash down near the same. EOS is down 10.5, Stellar down 9, Litecoin 6 3/5, 10% for Cardano, 4% for IOTA. Tether's supposed to be at the negative 0.1. But when we look at this, practically everything is red. We got Binance sneaking in with a 1.35% gain against the dollar, which means it's a short-term overperforming that of Bitcoin. 22% down for this one. I've never even heard of Mithril. Don't even know if I pronounced that correct. 15% down for WAN chain. Wayne. I don't know how the WAN is pronounced, but I presume the last 5 letters is pronounced that of chain. 12% down for Ardor, but then we got another gainer here, but barely 1.12%. As we have practically everything in the red. And for me, this means that buy orders are going to be filling, and they have been doing so. And within the risk versus the reward. When I went and did all the videos on the Back in Time series, I mentioned for all of those people who would have held on to the difficult times of the past. A lot of it in particular was that of 2016 and the first little bit of 2017. And the more longer periods of time of the such, those that held on managed to do very, very well, especially within the strategy that I've mentioned as well. So that's myself what I am trying to do. In case the crypto space turns out to be an utter failure, I don't think it will. That's why I've been doing different profit-taking measures along the way. And let's continue on now, of course, with the normal chart analysis. The Bitcoin market's up to the 18, or down rather to the 18 average for the first time it's having a correctionary test within. The 18 average of lows is coming in at 76.62. And area of previous resistance is coming in close to 7,500, and Fibonacci's in at 71.30. This was a level of previous resistance that really wasn't resistance. It was an area that could have been support. It wasn't. And it really didn't have a fast move to the next level, given that it spent 5 days correcting through time. So it became that of an irrelevant line drawn within this market. But that's just where the mathematics happen to be. And I'm looking for correctionary moves. You go from point low to point high, and the point low in this case is when it went last below the 18 at 6,082. You make a move from 84.93. That means any type of corrections in there. It's been a very choppy market, so I'm not going to say anything is guilty until proven innocent or anything like that because of any type of prior trend. There's no way I want to say that. But it's not a surprise when you have a market to have that of, like in a bull market, higher highs and higher lows. In order to have higher lows, you have to have markets that go back down lower. And that's why I think the key area I'd be looking at would be about 7,500. It would work out to be a pierce below this 18. But I see in test number 3 amongst this current area right now. So if we take a look at this on a single hour time frame, it did such yesterday. In the afternoon, it had a big sell-off that recovered really quickly, getting back to its previous congestion area. It never, of course, went higher from that point. It just stayed within such, and then it left this area at 4 in the morning with a decent red candle down move, and then a big red candle down move at 8 a.m. We can see that similar move that took place there on July 27th and July the 26th. And if this area gives in, well, that's of course what I'm mentioning is the 7100 mark. And on the 400-minute time frame, I guess you're looking at the exact same sort of thing. And quickly looking at some altcoins, we got ADT, the ad token, which had its impressive run higher, going from 189 to 1,000, and then now selling off to the point of being at 313, below the 18 average of lows. Now an area you'd want to find support about 20 points higher. It hasn't done so yet. I always going to have that question mark of a failed possible move on any breakout, whether it's small, big, massive, and this one I would consider larger than massive. And the 18 is always going to tell me on situations if such is going to be the case. But moves like this within my strategy means I'm able to sell at the upper ends and then buy back to the point, once I get enough of these moves, I can no longer lose on a particular coin, because I'd be profiting enough in base currency to justify so. The District 0x, similar thing, not as big of a rally. All it did was go from 450 up to about 900, so it only doubled. And I really mean only compared to some other coins, but I still like that volatility. But now it's back at the lower end from where it came from. If it breaks that support, that's a typical failed breakout, fast move lower. It's at an area where it's already been, you can say it's holding it like a thin thread or something, barely holding it at all. And previous support before the big rally was at a 272. But the situations of the big moves, I've been waiting for these types of multiple weeks to happen for quite some time, and I think they will at some level, or at some time, whether it's like next week, next month, next year, or next decade, it seems, that you can have these monstrous moves amongst the community base. This case, it went from 246 to 2,900, and 90 plus, 95% even, of the altcoins were all doing outstanding against Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was doing outstanding at the same point against the dollar too at that particular moment. So I'm waiting for those types of situations. I have been very underimpressed about this year's bear market for the most part, having just straight moves down compared to last year's bear markets. And using one quick example within library credits, as you can see, a lot of it is grinding lower, spending very little time above the 18. There was the April Fool's rally that a lot of these coins had this year, and there really hasn't been much more. Of course, there was a situation here where it had a small run in February, but it's all been continuously lower. And for my strategy, it gives very limited sell opportunities. And I guess last year here it would be a little frustrating too. But again, you just go through the hard times, and even in a situation here where if you bought all these sessions lower, hopefully you would have sold on the way higher. That what you sold in here would have done so much amazing stuff for your portfolio, that even though you were unable to buy back the stuff that you did from in here, the profits that you can get, especially if you're getting 20, 30, 40, 50+% returns on your buy and sell backs, for me is pretty magnificent. So you can say, yeah, I'm hoping for those situations where they're all going to pop up in the type of manner that they do. And the market's obviously going to do what it is going to do. Now, as far as this coin is concerned, it's at a very fragile state at a multiple hit area at about 1,500. It's barely leaving the 18 and has before a few times in here. It has to clearly break this. But it's not a surprise that if it does break it, it's 1428. Next thing you know, it's 1228 kind of situation. Let's finish this up with the BNB, Binance coin. And we'll cross it against Bitcoin, which is having a positive day. And what has happened is it's been in a decline mode, and it was in a long-standing due for such a decline in here. So it was at the 24,000 Satoshi mark, falling down to 14,000, up to 17. But it's managed to rally up to the declining 18. And after getting to the 18 of highs, it did find support at the 18 of lows. Now testing the highs once again. That's enough to make this band go on to a flattening out situation. And when we look at this on a 3-day time frame, you can see how this thing was in such a magnificent run this year. It had a matching low towards this point in here. It's got a declining 18 within such, so there's still a lot of gap lower at the same point. But on the daily chart, if this thing is able to break out, establish a level of resistance, say at around the 21 handle, 20 to that of the 21, then on the 3-day, you'd be looking at this thing having a test towards the 18 average of highs. And it's been a very it's been a very good coin during these bear market times of the altcoins, and it's like a stock almost. If Binance as the exchange does well, then there's a better chance that this is going to. However, the increased rate for those holding Binance from 0.05% to 0.075% is something I find as a deteriorator, or something that the market is not going to be happy about, thus may not do well for the Binance coin based on that individual news itself. Of course, time will continue to tell within such. I'd like to thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.